Ever wondered how those doughy delights of destiny came about? Yes, we mean bread. That perfect blend with butter or avocado spread is enough to make you wonder, oh, where in the world did this beauty come from? Of course, not everyone would imagine bread having a history. But that crusty companion didn't just come from thin air. In this video, we'll be taking you down history lane, knocking on the doors of the past, and getting all we need to know about those beautiful golden loaves. But before we get right into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up for more content like this. While the power of bread has found a way to unite humans all over the world, we can't exactly say who invented it. However, history has it that grain grinding has been in places like Europe to Australia for about 320 centuries. This only means that whoever was involved in the invention of bread was part of the ancient dusty do-gooders. And also, we have no idea how it all moved from grinding grains to making bread. Moving back in history to the Epipaleolithic era, the oldest makers of bread were traced to a group called the Natufians. Known for their nomadic hunter-gatherer to semi-sedentary village lifestyle and precursor practices of agriculture in Levant. Those guys made flatbreads from wild cereals like wild barley and wild wheat. The original culinary influencers of the prehistoric age would wander the wild fields for the finest grains, crush the grain into flour using heavy stone tools, then combine the coarse flour with water. With the dough in hand, they shaped their creation and then baked them using hot stones. It was during this era that there was a transition from the nomadic hunter-gathering societies to settled agricultural communities, leading to the domestication of wheat. Now things get pretty interesting for this bread fellow. The gospel of wheat spread from the Fertile Crescent down to Europe, Asia, and Africa faster than the latest gossip in high school. Yeah, you can simply just say that bread brought civilization to the world. Around 10,000 BC, Egyptians, being the real foodies, made the art of bread making just perfect. They even figured out how to use yeast to make bread rise into magnificent loaves. You can see from their art and dedication that they love bread so much. They even paid their workers in loaves, tagging it essential for living. Now, who wouldn't want to keep a job that pays you in loaves? The ancient Egyptians weren't the only ones who wanted a fraction of this gospel. The Greeks got to know about the marvel and added their own twist, producing different types of bread and soon turning it into a mass production affair. Bread arrived in America and it mingled with different local flavors and ingredients, and from there we had our cornbread, tortillas, and a whole lot of varieties. One thing everyone should come together in unity to do someday is to thank the Egyptians for figuring out the power of yeast. Now that's some superpower and a lot of people don't know that yet. Thanks to this, breads are made fluffy. And they didn't just stop there, they also brewed beer with yeast. Yeah, you heard that right, they brewed beer with yeast, meaning bread has the same ingredient as beer. So yeah, if you're craving liquid bread, try beer. Just imagine taking a walk and you suddenly hear the words, "You're the best thing since sliced bread," from a stranger. Now, while that may come off as weird, don't panic, just take it. It's one of the best compliments you could ever receive from anyone. And now you may be wondering why sliced bread is the best thing since, well, itself. Sit back and let us tell you why. If you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We'd love to do what we do best to make you happy and help your facial muscles. Well, the Industrial Revolution and commercial yeast gave rise to much more consistent and faster bread production. With large-scale bakeries running, bread became more accessible to people. The production paved the way for softer, beautiful breads, but the best hasn't come yet. In 1912, a prototype invention called the bread slicer was made by an American inventor, Otto Frederick Rohwedder. However, it was destroyed in a fire due to challenges he received. But in 1928, Rohwedder rebuilt the machine, and this time, he perfected it. The invention cut whole loaves into perfect slices and also wrapped them to keep them fresh. He installed his invention at a baking company called Chillicothe Baking Company in Missouri. When the machine got to the market, it became an instant hit. Consumers loved the convenience that came with it, and the sales soared really high. That phrase, "the greatest thing since sliced bread," was coined, reflecting the revolutionary effect of Rohwedder's great invention. Then, in 1930, major bakeries in the United States adopted the bread slicer, and the rest is history. Pre-sliced breads became a staple in American households. Sliced bread surely changed how people consumed bread, and it's beautiful to see. Oops, did we say the rest is history? Our bad. We forgot to mention that things got pretty sour for precious sliced bread in the United States. What could it be? Well, here's what happened. In 1943, the US government announced the ban of pre-sliced bread. The reason for it was, at the time, the wrappers to keep fresh bread were short in supply. On top, sliced bread was taking up more space and needed to be sturdier, requiring much more materials. The whole point was to save resources for the war. However, the ban was even more trouble than it looked. As the public dissatisfaction grew, it became a disruption to daily life. The government saw all this and reversed the ban in no time. This happened between January 1943 to March 1943. As you can see, sliced bread went through thick and thin to keep you satisfied. Maybe you should take a day in the week to appreciate that, Queen. The history of bread is certainly one of the most beautiful. It all went from people going into the wild fields in search of wild grain and grinding grains and mixing the coarse flour with water, and voila, bread. And since then, people have become creative, crafting various types, making it one of the most versatile foods in the world. In the 19th century, France created a long, slender, Chicago-style bread called baguette that is just perfect for impromptu picnics. They also made the answer to cake, known as brioche. And Italians have the ciabatta, which came into the scene in the 1980s. And of course, the USA with its tangy and chewy sourdough showed up in the 1800s. And also the crumbly and slightly sweet corn dough, which they made in the colonial times. Indians have the soft, pillowy flatbread called the naan that's cooked in a tandoor, a vase-shaped oven made of clay. They also made paratha bread in the ancient times. It was stuffed with anything from potatoes to paneer. And it didn't just stop there. They also have paneer bread, which they created in modern times, a flavorful bread stuffed with paneer and spices. Pita bread was made in the 12th century in the Middle East. We have the rye bread of Germany. Italians as well didn't sleep on bread. They made a type of flatbread called focaccia that's versatile for dipping, topping, or just eating by itself. Mexicans came with tortillas and the Chinese with bao. Germany came up with a dense, dark, slightly sweet bread in the 15th century named pumpernickel. They also came up with the twisted salty pretzel. And that's pretty much it. Bread isn't just one of the foods that existed since the beginning of mankind. It's a lot more than that. It's the unsung hero of human civilization. It wasn't just about tasty treats, it was a revolutionary force. And we have those geniuses of thousands of years ago to thank. Instead of leaving grains to die in the wild fields, they took it upon themselves to make something phenomenal out of them. And now generations are indebted to that act. Bread has been morphed into thousands of varieties, with each being much more delicious than the last. So, next time you bite into a warm slice, remember bread isn't just food, it's history, it's culture, it's innovation, and above all, it's revolution. All that rolled into one delicious package. It's proof that sometimes the best things since sliced bread are, well, bread itself. If you enjoyed watching this, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and also leave your comments below. We'd love to know your best type of bread. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.